Mic check. Can folks hear me? Okay, cool. All right, who's here because they're feeling angry? Who's here because they're tired of being offered false options and false solutions? Who's here because you're feeling ready to fight for change? Alright, that's the energy we want to hear tonight. We'll be out here, so thank you folks for coming out tonight. I'll introduce myself and also pass it off to my fellow MC next to me. But welcome to this action. We're out here outside of the Federal Building of Los Angeles in downtown LA. The Federal Building, we're out here today. We know that the Federal Building is really one of the local manifestations of the U.S. government and the U.S. state, and also the neglect and the hyper-militarization of the U.S. state that we've seen here in Los Angeles and across Southern California. So I'm here today as one of your MCs. My name is Kay. I'm a member of the International League of People Struggle here in Southern California, or ILPS SoCal. And I'm also a member of NFI and UCLA. I'll pass it on to my MC.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Esperanza, and I'm a member of the International Women's Alliance at DTLA. So before we get started, we also wanted to acknowledge the organizations and alliances that convened us here tonight, starting with the International League of People's Struggles, ILPS. And Bayan, the International Women's Alliance, the International Migrants Alliance, the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, Noruto, and Unión del Barrio. So we also wanted to talk a little bit more about context of why we're here today. Because on the one hand, yes, we're here because of the election results. But on the other hand, we are here because of the issues and struggles that our people have been dealing with. So we want to ask you, if you or yourself have known someone that is forced to work multiple jobs in order to support yourself or put food on the table for your family, raise your hand or make some noise. Have you dealt with unaffordable housing or evictions? Or policing and racist police violence? Or inadequate services? Money that should be spent to meet people's needs, but instead spent overseas to fund wars of aggression. We know how important it is that we are out here tonight because Donald Trump was elected, who claims that he is going to make America great again by hiding the roots of the crisis and blaming the crisis on migrants, promising that he is going to enact the largest mass deportations in the history of this country. Are we going to allow for that to happen? No. So at this time, where we find ourselves in an economic crisis with record high rates of inflation, with the high cost of living, over a year of genocide in Gaza, we have to come out here today and uplift the issues of our people and help them understand who their real enemy is. That it is not migrants, it is not each other, but it is the wealthy and powerful people like Donald Trump.
Yeah. And so I also want to bring up some of the points that Donald Trump had raised in his speech to the American people last night. He said that right now is the greatest political movement of all time. What does that mean? We are under no illusion that any president of the U.S. imperialist war machine will ever serve the people or improve our conditions. It has only shown that it will spread war and destruction. And especially not Trump, who will espout his anti-migrant rhetoric and try to hide the roots of the crisis and mobilize the most fascist sections of the right wing to mobilize against the people who are fighting for their conditions. History has shown us that it is the people themselves who have fought to make any real change in society.
That's right.
And so, as you can see on this banner behind us, one of them, defend people's struggle, fight repression, war, and genocide. That is our call to the people. Fight for our jobs, health, and housing. So I want us all to keep this in mind as we hear from the program today. It is not only the convening alliances that are here today, but we also have a wide range of organizations and folks who have been helping to plan this action and put on a wonderful action for us today. And we know that the fight will not end here. And so we'll start the program right now, but really want folks to get the energy up. So can we get some chants? No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air!
U.S. out everywhere!
No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air!
U.S. out everywhere!
Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
From Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Thanks, y'all. Can you give yourselves a round of applause? So I'll welcome our first speaker for the program today. Puede, San Fernando Valley-based campaign, People United to End Displacement and Economic Crisis. Welcome, Howie and R.
Hello, I'm Howie from People's Struggle, San Fernando Valley.
Hi everyone, my name is R. I'm from Migrante San Fernando Valley.
We are representing the Puede, a campaign that stands for the people united to end displacement and economic crisis in the San Fernando Valley. Puede strives to represent the interests of our migrant communities from Latin America to the Philippines and more, and raising it to the need to fight against the roots of poverty and displacement and empower each other to create genuine change. The San Fernando Valley is a heavily diverse migrant community where people come from all over the world and migrate here with the hopes of finding economic opportunity. Many migrants are displaced from their homelands because of economic instability, government corruption, and repression and war.
These are the motivating factors that force so many migrant communities to seek jobs and livelihoods overseas and beyond borders. However, what begins as displacement from our homelands turns into a never-ending cycle of displacement, where migrants come to places like the Valley, but have to keep migrating elsewhere because of rising costs of living paired with stagnant wages. Migrants in our communities take up underappreciated service jobs in grocery stores or caregiving, where workers face conditions like inadequate equipment, sexual harassment, job instability, and violence in the workplace. Even for myself, my own family were victims of an anti-Asian hate crime where they were verbally harassed and physically assaulted. My mother was strangled by the neck, and my father got his ribs broken in this racist attack. In another neighborhood, a youth named Alex was murdered by police. And now, his family cannot afford to grieve because they are faced with economic uncertainty, since their son was also a provider of food and income. Our migrant community is forced to accept the lowest wages, unsafe and illegal working conditions, and injustices not limited to the workplace, but in our everyday lives. We face economic disparities, racism, police brutality, and never-ending attacks to our rights as humans.
During this election cycle, we continue to witness Trump's anti-immigrant ideology. During his victory speech, repeatedly blaming migrants, claiming, "We are going to help heal our country. Our country needs help very badly. We are going to fix the borders." Except, how can our country supposedly heal if the economic backbone of society and the strongest group is the migrant labor working class? It is hypocritical for the U.S. to claim it needs to heal when the U.S. is complicit in the harm and displacement of people all over the world. It's true our country needs to be healed, but the enemies aren't the migrants. Those are our allies. The people who need to be held accountable are the multinational corporations being government tax dollars, or the politicians profiting from war and genocide, all while our basic needs of the people are not being met.
And so we continue to fight on. We are working towards uniting migrant and displaced people to find shared struggle amongst each other and the hope to fight. And we have. We began with street cleanups at the start of our campaign. And through community integration, education, and mobilization, we understood more and more the need to organize for our rights and calling for resources to be invested back in our communities. In a war-torn world, we called out the US's complicity in militarizing our communities and backing war by confronting racist police in Pacoima and weapons manufacturers like Northrop Grumman and Northridge that displace and exploit our communities here and in our homelands. We must continue to find solutions to the struggles in our communities. It's not about which presidential candidate wins, but the issues that everyday people like us need to solve together.
So together, let's guard against fear, despair, divisiveness, and focus on finding unity and solidarity amongst each other. We must unite, build up our base, unite on issues, and uplift them to the need to organize locally and internationally. In the face of a raging election, know that there are other ways to fight for change far beyond the ballot box. And if you're in the San Fernando Valley and you believe in Puede's mission to fight against poverty and displacement, then join us or any of our member organizations.
And if you are not in the SFV, then join an organization. Look around you. There are so many who are represented here today. Find one. Get organized. Because it's up to us to protect and empower each other.
The people united!
We'll never be defeated!
The people united!
We'll never be defeated!
El pueblo unido!
¡Jamás será vencido!
El pueblo unido!
¡Jamás será vencido!
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Howie and R from Puede for sharing that. This is one of the reasons why it is so important that we are out here today, because we cannot believe in the false promises of these politicians that they will end the violence against us when they are responsible for scapegoating us. And they are the ones that are a part of the state that is neglecting and abandoning us. Migrante ng bayan! Ngayon ay lumalaban! The people united!
We'll never be defeated!
Will never be defeated!
The people united!
All right, so for our next speaker, we would like to invite Migrante Los Angeles. Migrante is a national democratic mass organization of Filipino workers and migrants dedicated to fighting for the rights and welfare of Filipinos in the U.S. and for genuine democracy and freedom in the Philippines.
Hello, we are members of Migrante Los Angeles, a national democratic organization under Bayan, fighting for the rights and welfare of migrants and workers across the globe, and for us specifically here in Los Angeles. Our membership is made up of migrant workers, caregivers, service workers, unhoused immigrants in LA. I myself work at a beloved Filipino fast food restaurant where a lot of Filipino migrants find themselves working. In April, we got a $20 wage increase. And at first, we thought that this was a blessing to us. Then our hours were cut. Full-time workers only getting 25 to 29 hours in a week. They told us to make higher quotas to make up for the quote negative labor costs, which for us meant worse and worse conditions in the workplace. They made us work in the heat wave in 100-degree kitchen for months because they didn't want to pay for the AC. And they want to squeeze us dry without losing any profit. Corporate makes the fast food crew do welding, landscaping, and other ridiculous things while none of us can afford to pay rent without living with our entire families in a one-bedroom apartment. All that's to say, whoever is president, they don't care about whether we live with dignity. They raise the wage, but let corporate cut us dry. Trump says he'll fix everything, but he won't. People are rallying to him because he lies to the working people. It's bullshit. The Democrats are so out of touch with people, just trying to get by, while at the same time they put all their money into a genocide. Now me, my co-workers, my friends will have to face some fascist, anti-immigrant shit on top of trying to keep our families here and in the Philippines alive. Some of our members are also part of the Housing for Manila campaign. A campaign by Filipinos and other migrants who are in encampment in Koreatown. They were put under Mayor Karen Bass's Inside Safe program, promising them permanent housing within 3 months. However, they were placed in a hotel where they didn't have access to utilities. They couldn't have guests over, and they had to live with maggots. They didn't even have toilet paper and proper food. The promise was 3 months, but it took them 8 months of non-stop noise for Bass to finally allow them housing in an apartment here in downtown LA. Only for the program to expect them to pay rent immediately without giving them proper help to get back on their feet. As Migrante, we demand livable wages and protection from big employers that make profit off of our hard work. We demand permanent housing for all and access to health services and education. Over 6,000 Filipinos are forced to leave the country every day, leave their families, their children, and their whole life, just to put food on the table because the U.S. government and the Philippine government work together to keep Philippine wages so low, corporations can use Filipinos for cheap labor, use our land for mining and lodging. A land for extracting and exporting instead of using what we have to take care of our own. It forces Filipinos to leave the country to be used for cheap labor here, only for us to be treated like criminals. Trump and his party scapegoats working class immigrants for the wealth corporations steal from our labor. The government puts to killing Palestinians,
when migrant workers, make all the wealth this country gets off on. When Trump won in 2016, I had only been in the US for 3 months. And right before I left the Philippines, the fascist Rodrigo Duterte was sworn into office in the Philippines. I was terrified not just for myself, but for the family that I had left behind. But I turned my fear into organizing.
That's right.
And it has led me here now. Migrants and Workers Unite. Join an organization that fights for the rights and welfare of migrants and workers. Migrante no paro! Thank you.
All right, thank you to Migrante Los Angeles. Their bravery is an example and a model of what we all need to embody. I know that we are afraid, knowing that an overt fascist has taken power, but we have to turn our fear into power through organizing. So our next speaker is going to be Jackie from Half the Sky, a women's organization promoting the issues and struggles of working women, of migrant women, of women of color. So thank you, Jackie.
How do we feel? So Donald Trump has been elected President of the United States once again. And now is the time to unite and uplift the issues and struggles of working and migrant and oppressed women to advance the broad, militant women's movement. Now is the time to turn fear into fight. Trump ran his campaign on lies, while Trump took advantage of the anxieties of the working class who are facing economic crisis to win this election. We know that his agenda only serves the interests of big banks, multinational corporations, and the military-industrial complex. Trump claims to protect women no matter what. And this is another fear-mongering lie that he spouts to cover the fact that he is a criminal. He is a perpetrator of violence against women and girls. His repressive policies will only hurt working people, especially migrants and women. So, although the Republican policies blatantly attack women, let's not forget that Democrats don't offer women solutions either. They lost because they failed to appeal to the needs of the people. Democrats failed to listen to their constituents and take steps to stop aid to the Zionist entity and state and end the genocide in Palestine. The Biden and Harris admin failed to address the crisis of women's health, including abortion, and instead made empty election promises year after year to try and ensure Democrats held power. They once again did not make the right to an abortion a federal law. They failed to address gender-affirming care for women and LGBTQ and trans women. They failed to address the health and economic crisis migrant women face. And our communities must wage militant fights to ensure our rights to access and health are met. This is now a time for education and to re-energize the mass movement led by grassroots organizations in the genuine fight for women's rights, welfare, and dignity. As we face the reality of another Trump presidency, we must recommit ourselves to fight against fascist state repression, including increasing attacks against people's rights and welfare, as well as the crackdowns against people's movements. As we have seen through attacks on activists around the world, we must move amongst the masses. It is our duty to meet the masses where they're at, to be warm and gentle and patient. It is up to us to work alongside them to advance them. Real change doesn't come from criminal politicians. It comes from determination and power of working and migrant women combined with the mass movement of working people. Half the Sky, member org of the International Women's Alliance, understands that the roots of women's exploitation and class oppression are globally connected.
That's right.
Working and exploited women and migrant women in the U.S. are part of the same global struggle as our sisters in the Philippines, in Kurdistan, in Palestine, in Kashmir, India, Somalia, Bolivia, and all other corners of the world. Where women are uniting against militarization, exploitation, and fascism. The real solution is to unite together, build a mass movement of women like us, working women, migrant women, who can fight back. Half the Sky and IWA call on all working and migrant women in the United States to stand together and to organize our efforts to deal a blow to the U.S.'s exploitative policies from within the belly of the beast itself. We continue to amplify real demands and calls of the people. We know that regardless of these sham elections, neither party had any real solutions to offer the growing crisis working and migrant women face and our families face around the world. So in the midst of fear and disillusionment from the exploitative system and onslaught of systemic violence from both political parties, women are not just participants in the political process. We are mothers and leaders that will fight and birth a new, more just society. The solution is clear. Women must fight in order to achieve victory. In combination with the masses, working and migrant women will come together and help lead us until victory. The women united will never be defeated. Las mujeres unidas nunca serán vencidas. Jamás serán vencidas. Avante, babae, palaban militante. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jackie. And next we'll be welcoming Jasper from People's Struggle San Fernando Valley. A revolutionary based in and building up the people's movement in the SFD.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasper, and today I'm standing here appearing as a representative of People's Struggle San Fernando Valley.
I'm Howie. I'm back. I'm helping out my colleague. And so, like in the description, we're a revolutionary mass organization, which means we're going right to our base, our neighborhood, our communities, and asking and analyzing the problems that are facing everybody in our communities. And not just having a study group about it, but to actually find solutions and work towards those solutions. So what that looks like is fighting people's justice campaigns against police that have harmed or even killed members of our community. Also trying to solve the issue of food insecurity by building up a farm and a gardening area. And so generally, it is time for us to really get our hands dirty with our organizing. It is time to really focus on our faith and realize that it is not any one of us, any one party, any one mass organization. It is the masses that make history, and we need to inspire them, build them up, and give them strength. We are also fighting to give the people an education. Give the people the words that they can use to express their feelings of rage and hurt. It is more important now than ever that we come together as our community, that we support each other, that we protect each other, that we uplift each other's needs and struggles. If we're talking about building up revolutionary communities, the first step is to create our communities again, to heal them. We are isolated, we are in pain, but it does not have to be like this, and it already is not for so many people doing the work. That doesn't mean that this is easy. It doesn't mean that every day is going to put a smile on your face, but it means we're doing the work to uplift the people, to serve them, to create the world that we hope to see. And as long as you're doing that, you're on the right path. We have so much more work to do, but I hope you all take at least a second to look around and see that you're surrounded by people that are doing the work that needs to be done, and that we need to continue. And so after today, we continue to plan with each other. If you're not a part of a mass organization, you join one. If you are a part of a mass organization, today is not just a rally where we come and express ourselves. We are creating next steps. This is not a rally that ends tonight. This is a stepping point to where we move on and continually work towards. All right. And also, I just want to give a big rap to Jasper. This was going to be his first time speaking, but you know, sometimes there's a lot of energy, and I want us to all give Jasper a round of applause. To the people's struggle both locally and internationally.
International solidarity! International solidarity!
All right, everyone. So before we continue with the program, we're actually going to ask people if everyone can shift to your left, so that way more people are behind and around where the lights are. All right, thank you. So we're going to take a quick second to do some chants, get some energy going, and then we'll get back with the program.
No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. Long live international solidarity. Long live international solidarity. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. Rise up, rise up, rise up. Rise up, my people, rise up. Rise up, rise up, rise up. Rise up, my people, rise up. No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere. No boots on the ground, no bombs in the air. U.S. out of everywhere.
All right, let's keep the energy up, y'all. I want to really express appreciation for the folks who have spoken so far to speak on the breadth of issues and conditions that our people are facing as symptoms of the imperialist crisis, and really how folks are waging campaigns and struggling and organizing in the face of all odds to still fight for better conditions, to fight for what we deserve. We heard from folks about the issues of the housing and displacement, the campaigns that are being led by migrants, workers, and community members who are rallying together to confront their corporate landlords. We heard from folks in Migrante about the abuse and exploitation of migrants and migrant workers who are making their wages within the first hours of their shifts and are struggling to support their families and who are still organizing their workplaces in the face of this repression and retaliation from their employers. And we heard how workers, migrants, women, and gender-oppressed people are also taking up the fight in their own communities to address their issues and solve their issues. And so we just want to recognize that there has already been lively and vibrant struggle of people who are resisting and fighting to change their conditions.
And what these speakers have shown us when they talk about the violence that is directed against them because they're migrants or because they're women is who does this violence serve? It doesn't serve us to work against each other. It serves who? The ruling class, the same people like Donald Trump. And he knows this because he intentionally does it. He intentionally scapegoats migrants. He intentionally encourages violence against them because it covers up the roots of the crisis, a crisis which he and those like him are directly responsible for. So we're going to move into our next speaker, Desiree, who is the political secretary of Unión del Barrio in Los Angeles. So please welcome Desiree.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. That's right. One thing is clear, a garbage political system can only produce garbage political results. Today, on November 6, 2024, Harris once again proved that beyond the West Coast and the Northeast, the Democratic Party is a failure as a national electoral party. Ultimately, the Democratic Party has been and remains an anti-liberation organization with an anti-revolutionary ideology. As Raza and working class people, we owe the Democratic Party nothing. That's right. Even if she had won, a Harris presidency would have been more of the same wars, genocide, interventionism, and anti-working class policies. On the other hand, the forthcoming second presidency of Trump will be a more organized, disciplined, radical, and vengeful government than his first term. Trump has a majority on the Supreme Court, the Senate, and the House. We must contend with the reality that the worst is yet to come, and we must prepare ourselves. Yes, Papi, that's right. We must prepare ourselves for intensified anti-Raza and anti-working class fascist violence. Here in LA, we don't need Trump to attack us. The Democrats are the ones attacking us here. In the education sector, several teachers and professors are under serious attack for their political work. Teachers are being doxxed, harassed, threatened, and sued, and removed from their classrooms for their support for Palestine and for denouncing the genocide in Gaza. It is because the system is collapsing that it is externalizing its most homicidal, colonial, imperial tendencies on a global scale. The radical right wing is advancing an agenda of collective psychosis intent on spreading political violence in every direction. MAGA Trumpism made inroads among working class people. The Trojan horse of religious fanaticism invited MAGA into our barrios, and it is what inevitably occupies the void left by the absence of pro-raza and working class ideology and barrio-based grassroots leadership. They use their religious fanaticism to rationalize the self-hate, racism, classism, homophobia, transphobia, pro-migra, pro-police, pro-imperialist, pro-Zionist, and anti-socialist inclinations. That's right. This false consciousness of our people can be traced to the impression of strength behind MAGA fascism and its language of power. It impresses too many of our people. The pathetic weakness and fake wokeness demonstrated by the self-loathing Hispanic Democrats alienated many of our gente in supporting the most anti-raza president in the last century. But let's be clear, our people are not responsible for, nor do we benefit from this deranged two-party system. We must be clear that our neighborhoods are the targets of these parties, of both of them. And we are subject to multiple ongoing external crises that are never resolved and will only worsen over time. The Hispanics who voted for Trump yesterday will soon find out what Project 2025 is all about and will learn the hard way. Too many people in our communities identify with the two-party system and their madness, and they identify with their own liberation. That is to say that today, far too many of our people are more deeply committed to this failing system and their own oppression than are people that understand the urgent need for a principled and organized working class liberation struggle. We recognize that this exposes the weakness of our movement at this point in history. Therefore, it is incumbent on our movement to grow and to lead our communities to understand that organized resistance resist both growing reactionary antagonism towards our people and the working class, and to recognize the threat that U.S. imperialism and global capitalism represent across Nuestra America and all around the globe against the survival of our species on this planet. To do this, we need more people to join movement organization, to build a serious movement to defend our communities and improve our living conditions. We need more people power. That is, we need more recruits. And in short, if you are here today but you do not belong to a serious political organization, we invite you, we need you, join one.
That's right! That's right!
The central political struggle of our people for the working class at this time is not to lament defeat of the Democratic Party, but instead to move past the two-party system to truly defend ourselves and survive this generalized crisis. In closing, as Unión del Barrio, as we approach the celebration of the 10th anniversary of our successful fight in gaining ethnic studies as a high school graduation requirement in LAUSD, a campaign that was a grassroots campaign led by educators and students and community organizations. We must not forget that our people are a strong and resilient people.
Yes.
We do not forget the legacy of resistance that we come from and what is left to be built. We will not be treated as foreigners on our own historic homelands. We know that people power is where it's at.
That's right.
That's right!
So let's be ready to welcome our people into liberation struggle. We leave you with the slogan that for decades has guided our political work. Ni republicanos ni demócratas, solo el pueblo organizado vencerá. We will continue to struggle more than ever to build towards a revolutionary political party, and we invite you all to join us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. Everyone give it a hand for UDP. And next we'll welcome to the stage Val from the UC Divest Coalition at UCLA, the UCLA-based anti-militarism and anti-war coalition fighting to end UC profit from war. Welcome, Val.
Are we getting tired, you guys? Are we getting bored? Do we want to go? You guys good? Are we still angry?
Yeah!
We sustain our anger?
Yeah!
Because if we don't sustain our anger and channel it towards community, love, and radical optimism, then are we any better than the Democrats here? Are we? No, we aren't. Yeah, I just want to appreciate everyone for being here and supporting. Actually, this is my first time speaking, so give me... I am so stoked to be a representative of the UC Divest Coalition at UCLA. I'm also very happy to touch some grass, to be outside of West LA.
start right from this ugly ass building and looking at that other ugly ass building over there, right? Fucking ACAB, fuck City Hall, fuck LE. So, yes, the UCLA Divest is a coalition of organizations part of the Resist US-led war movement and fighting for the UCs to divest from war profiteering and reinvent in the needs of the community, part and parcel to our organizing against US imperialism. As UC Divest, we know that Trump's win is merely a change in who leads the US war machine that the UCs continue to fund and uphold. At UCLA, our students and workers are in crisis, just like communities in the wider LA area and across this country. And our so-called progressive institution, under the direction of our Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom, who sits, exactly, right? And he sits on the university's decisions-making board. We have already experienced the rise of policing, surveillance, and repression of anyone who fights against genocide and war, fights for their basic needs, and therefore fights against the university's super profits. Shame! Since this spring, around 300 of our students, faculty, and community were arrested for demanding the UC to stop funding genocide in Palestine. This is what the UC and the US will do to maintain its crumbling empire and war machine. The same strategies and technologies of the US to quell organizing here will be used to share with other fascist governments to uphold US imperialism, to kill, displace, and oppress people across the world from Palestine to the Philippines. We came together to form this campaign because when we followed the money, we found this university was investing tens of billions of dollars in weapons manufacturers and war profiteers. All the while, the UC regents say that there's no money to even give workers a living wage higher than $19 an hour or hire more workers to address understaffing. But they don't hesitate to raise student tuition, approve salary increases for senior management, and suppress campus organizing through their new time, place, and manner policies. Students pay this university tens of thousands of low-quality education in overcrowded 300-person classrooms, going into debt with no guarantee of a good job after graduating, just like millions of college students across the US. And if you are lucky to secure employment, many prestigious research universities like UCLA will specifically target and recruit students in STEM into joining the ever-expanding war and weapons industry, normalizing the thinking that young adults should be able to participate in genocide and that it is acceptable to do so. Tuition goes towards the very same empire and militarization that forced some of us and our families to have to leave in the first place. That's why we are fighting every day for an end to these systems of US militarization and US imperialism at their root. We must organize for true change, for a new world, and for a better future. Not by casting a vote once every 4 years, but by organizing ourselves and each other to build a mass movement in every classroom, outside of the classroom, in the workplace and department on every campus in every state until we win. We are continuing to expose and research the bloody ties of the UC regents with transnational weapons corporations. See who the regents are affiliated with, where their endowment and investment funds are in, who they accept donations from, ties and research grants received, and much more, so that we can cut those ties to imperialism. Shame! Do we want our money going to increase policing on campuses? No. Do we want our money going to salary increases for the regents? No. Do we want our money going into war and genocide? No.
the national liberation struggles of Palestine, of the Philippines, of oppressed peoples across the world, and will do our part here to strike blows at U.S. imperialism. We demand divestment from war and genocide, divestment from BlackRock, weapons manufacturing companies. We want reinvestment in our communities. We want higher wages and better working conditions for workers, faculty, and staff, better learning conditions, an end to housing and financial security, an end to the bureaucracy and repression of this institution. To actually make these things happen, we need to strengthen our organizing. It is the people who create true change through being with one another day in, day out. We deepen our understandings of the conditions we face and can organize our communities to collectively fight for better conditions. To realize how our struggles with food, housing, work, and more are linked to imperialism, to the violence faced by colonized peoples. We must continue to strengthen our organizing and bring more people into our movement in the face of increased fascism and counterinsurgency. So when we return to our communities, join an organization, make a coalition, and continue to fight. UC Divest will continue growing and recruiting more orgs. We will continue to engage more and more people and communities in the Divest campaign, and we will continue to fight against U.S. imperialism. The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Palestine to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine! Palestine to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine! Thank you all!
Thank you, UC Divest. Next, we'll welcome to the stage Doms, the Secretary General of Anabayan USA, a national democratic organization of Filipino youth and students uniting with the toiling masses to fight for the genuine liberation of the Philippines. Welcome, Doms!
Who here last night was angry? Who was livid? Let me also ask, who was scared? Yeah. Who was anxious? Who was disappointed?
I was.
It's a natural thing. Last night's election of Donald Trump is an unnatural thing. Our fears, they're fine. Our anxiety, it's okay. But despite that, we are here tonight to take a stand, no? I'm reminding us that this feeling is okay because last night I came home around like 2 a.m. We were finishing making this banner after watching the results of the election. And I came into my dark apartment and my mom was sleeping. But when she heard the dog barking and I opened the door, she jolts up and she goes, "Anak, talagang nanalo ba si Trump? Is it true that Trump really won?" And I have to tell her yes.
Trump did win. Trump, who hates people like my mother, a migrant worker, a caregiver, did win. That's now our president. And the thing is, maybe us as organizers, we're used to this, right? We're used to fighting against fascists. We're used to imperialism ruining the lives of so many people. But the broad masses of the people, those who clock in and clock out of our grocery stores, those who we say hi to when we step out of our apartments, those that we even honk the horn at because they ran the red light and it was your turn to make a left. They're not used to this. And so, like what was said earlier, I am a member of an akbayan. An akbayan is an organization of Filipino youth that is based here in the US, but first and foremost is based in our homeland, the Philippines. And we are here tonight to reaffirm and to stand true to our duty as youth. That we will not stay just on our campuses, that we will not just keep talking among our group of friends, among those who we are organized with, among those we call kasama or comrade, but we will make every attempt to go into our communities and explain to them, how could this have happened to them? How could this have happened to your coworkers? How could this have happened to your aunts, your uncles, your parents, your siblings? How could this have happened? And we have to be patient. And we've been patient before. And we have to remind them that this isn't the first time we've had to deal with this. We've dealt with fascists before. And we'll do it again. And it won't just be us, but it'll be everyone in our communities who have something to fight for, because all that they have is nothing. And so, I reiterate to all Filipino youth who are confused, who are scared, who are troubled, do not be. We have an important role to play here. It was our ancestors who ousted the fascist Marcos. It was our parents who ousted the fascist Arab. Our people got this. And it is our task to build unity with them. Because the masses aren't a faceless bunch of people. Like I said earlier, it's your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends. The guy who walks the dog every morning. That is the masses. They're the ones who are filling up the factories. They're the ones who are serving us in the drive-thrus. They're the ones who see you at the table at your favorite restaurant. They are the masses. And all of us are the masses. Trump might have a majority in the Congress. Trump might have a majority in the Senate. But we have the opportunity to build the majority in the streets and in our communities. Let us not forget, we must fight, we must educate, we must organize, and let's mobilize every single person we can, because this is their livelihood. This isn't some weird boogeyman that the Democrats want us to think it is. This is our livelihoods. These are the low wages that won't go up anymore because the ballot failed for it. Shame. This is the failed ballot to expand rent control. And so the call is simple, no? We have to defend our people's struggles against fascism. But why do we struggle? We struggle so that we can fight for our jobs, health, and housing. It's as simple as that. And so, before we close out, or before I close out, we're not done yet. Before I close out, for the night, I also just want to share a little bit about what this means for the Filipino people. Trump promised last night, right? He said, when I was the president, there were no wars. It was peace. Yeah, right. I read Project 2025. I know you're full of shit. Yeah. Because it says there that the top priority of the Trump regime is to continue to escalate the war with China. We don't believe that you're for peace. We know that you're fighting with China to open up new markets in the Asia Pacific. And when that first missile is fired from one of those US Navy ships, it's not Trump who's gonna die. It's our families back home, our fellow kababayan. And so, for us who are here tonight, for those who aren't, there is so much at stake, but we really have nothing to lose anymore. And so, let's go back to our communities tonight. Let's integrate with our communities. Let's educate them on what we need to fight for, because that's all we can do right now. And so that when we come back here next week, next month, next year, the year after that, the year after that, and the year after that, and then probably some more years after that, we'll be bigger and we'll be stronger. And we won't just be here with those we call our comrades, but we will be here with those whom we call mom, dad, uncle, aunt, friend. Last week, let's build the people's movement. And that is our task as youth today. Let us get off of our campuses, let's go into our communities, and let's build the base to fight for our people.
Thank you to Doc from Anak Bayan, also reminding us of the importance to not throw people away, to not disregard them, but instead to be patient with them, to go to them, to link with them. Because we know that it is not just a small group of us that will be able to oust the fascist Donald Trump, but it has to be the majority of us, the masses.
That's right.
So up next, we're going to introduce a speaker from an organization, Nozuto, a diasporic Korean organization. Imperialism and for Korea's reunification and national liberation.
What's up, y'all? My name is Inchel, and I'm a member of Noruto, an organization of anti-imperialist diaspora Koreans and comrades. Where's the feedback on this? Got it. All right, rock and roll. Yesterday, we witnessed the liberal establishment, predictably, lose the presidential election because they insisted on... Fuck yeah. All right. Man, I hate all U.S. presidents. How about you? They fucking lost. They're fucking losers because we knew that they were gonna fucking lose. They made their bed with the fucking genocide. We told them to get the fuck out of that bed, and they did it. So, amidst the farce that is the US elections, as exit polls are being broadcast across every network last night, the bombing of Gaza continued, funded and orchestrated by the American ruling class. Shame! Today we are looking at another 4 years of that bastard's presidency. What does that mean for us as anti-imperialist organizers living in the heart of empire? What does that mean for Korea? I gotta speak on it because, my ancestors brought me here to this point to say this. So, over the past 4 years, the point is, I hate all US presidents. I'm gonna say it in every paragraph, okay? So, over the past 4 years, the Biden administration has pursued significant escalations of military aggression across the Asia-Pacific region as part of its new Cold War on China, which we know this motherfucker's gonna continue and escalate. And what I know is that Korea is the front line of that new Cold War. Hand in hand with the far-right Yoon Suk-yeol administration, which came into power in 2022, the US and South Korean governments have been coordinating war drills on an unprecedented scale, restarting and expanding live military exercises and even rehearsing plans for the use of nuclear weapons on the peninsula. I hate all US presidents. Brazen aggression and contempt for diplomacy has reversed decades of efforts by North Korea in pursuit of peaceful relations with both this shithole and South Korea. For the first time in over half a century, North Korea just this year moved away from peaceful reunification as its official policy, marking a monumental shift in inter-Korean relations. Tensions on the peninsula are higher than ever. And when it comes to the threat of another devastating imperialist war waged on our homeland. I hate all US presidents. The alarming trajectory did not start with Biden. The preceding Trump administration abandoned diplomacy as quickly as it had started and played a major role in the rapid deterioration of relations. Trump threatened to destroy Korea with fire and fury and imposed the harshest sanctions against our siblings in North Korea that they've never ever faced before. It was also the Trump administration that imposed travel bans against North Korea, barring all US passport holders from traveling there, and signed into law as part of a series of sweeping Muslim bans. Our fates are tied. I hate all US presidents. Who's with me? In the face of the heightened crisis in our homeland and beyond, we recognize that it is our duty to continue mounting oppositions to the US imperialism and our position in the belly of the beast. To this end, we launched the US Out of Korea campaign this past summer, rooted in 4 demands, and let's shout them together. US out of Korea! US out of Korea! We demand the full and permanent withdrawal of US troops and weapon systems from Korea, followed by the return of all Korean land, water, and airspace to the Korean people. Demand number 2, end the US-South Korean alliance! End the US-South Korean alliance! We demand an end to all US-South Korea alliances, including the Jackets Trilateral Security Cooperation, which is forming an Asian NATO to encircle China and the DTLA. We also demand an end to joint command structures, the Combined Forces Command, and the UN Command. Okay, demand number 3, end all aggression against North Korea. We demand an end to all U.S. military exercises in Korea and that all sanctions against North Korea be lifted. And finally, end the war economy. End the war economy! We demand the U.S. government divert spending from war prisons and policing. The money made by the working people should go to the working people, to housing, education, healthcare, and climate justice. It is our duty to consolidate and fortify the people and coalesce the forces of the left to capture the commitment of the intermediate and build a mass movement against U.S. imperialism. The stances of the two-sided establishment will only move deeper into fascism, it already has, and will never reflect our goals. We will remain steadfast in our commitment to Korean liberation, to the return of Palestine, to the victories of every front fighting imperialism in their homelands. In closing, I want to quote revolutionary George Jackson, murdered by the state in 1971, who wrote, "Settle your quarrels, come together, understand the reality of our situation, understand that fascism is already here, that people are already dying who could be saved, that generations more will live poor, butchered, have lives if you fail to act. Do what must be done, discover your humanity and your love in revolution, pass the torch, live for the people." Korea to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
From Korea to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine!
Thank you.
From Korea to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine! Korea to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine! Korea to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine! Korea to the Philippines! Stop the U.S. war machine!
Thank you, Protocol. All right, and next we'll welcome to the stage Clement, an organizer with USC SJP and SCALE, or the Student Coalition Against Labor Exploitation, to speak for Students for Justice in Palestine.
Y'all tired? No! Nice to meet y'all. I'm out here with my comrades with USC SJP. Thanks again for being here. Hello comrades, compañeros, and casamas. We want to thank all of you for coming out today and being in community with us. As was mentioned, we're with USC SJP and SCARE. We want to start off with some political grounding, which is just the bare facts. Over the past year, the Israeli apartheid regime murdered at least 186,000 Palestinians, displaced at least 1.7 million Palestinians, and are starving at least 2 million Palestinians right now as we speak. This is genocide, all with the backing of the United States, which has given over $310 billion to the Zionist entity since the Nakba in 1948. Shame! When we demanded divestment from the Zionist entity and the U.S. war machine last spring at our university, and when we welcomed the masses to our campus and aligned with our struggles, USC's response was swift and brutal. For the first time in a long time, USC was faced with a genuine threat of people power. USC has exploited and occupied South Central's nationally oppressed people since its inception. And it's no surprise that this university aligns itself with Zionism, another arm of the same imperialist hydra. But we're trying to change USC into the People's University. USC is the site of global capitalism with over $13.8 billion. On our board, we have Trump's top donor, Miriam Adelson, top billionaire donor at a seemingly progressive school. But we're trying to change that. Shame. A country founded on the genocide of indigenous peoples and the exploited labor of enslaved Africans will never serve the people. For the past year, our politicians have shown bipartisan support for Israel's, quote, right to self-defense. That's doublespeak. That's doublespeak for Israel's right to commit genocide, the right to continuously violate international law, and for their right to continuously violate humanity. Shame! That Israel is America's, quote, greatest ally is no surprise, since America is built, again, on genocide, on slavery, and exploitation, and endless profit. And as a reminder, we stand here tonight on unceded land of the Tongva, Chumash, Tataviam, Serrano, Guajira, Juaneco, and Louisiana peoples. And as has been mentioned tonight, in the past century, America has consistently acted against freedom fighters around the world as an agent of imperialism and oppression on the international stage. The comforts we reap here in the belly of the beast come at the cost of other people's exploitation and suffering internationally. But let's remember the words of Che Guevara before we get too depressed. He was talking to the folks in North America. Quote, "I envy you. You North Americans are very lucky. You are fighting the most important fight of all. You live in the belly of the beast." We are at the center of global capitalism, and we have a duty to end it. For all the people murdered and maimed by the USA. And though yesterday was election day, we cannot afford to be distracted. We must stay focused. The liberation of Palestine will not be found on the ballot. It will not start or end with Republicans or Democrats. It will not start or end with established power. It will not start or end with a vote. Many Americans seem to believe you can resist fascism by voting. That choosing to vote for one fascist or another fascist will bring them their liberation. Do y'all believe that? No! We say no to this political theater. We must remain focused. We have to organize, and we have a long struggle ahead of us. In fact, we got a life's worth of work ahead of us. That's right. But we should pay that no mind. We are fighting for freedom and liberation. Because we truly believe life holds weight in this world. Not just our lives, but everyone's lives. If we believe that justice is not a mere word, that our struggles are all interconnected, then we must struggle, we must fight, and we must always hold the Palestinian resistance and all anti-colonial, anti-imperialist resistance close to our struggle. Because, as Ghassan Kanafani said before he got assassinated by the Mossad, which is basically the Zionist entity CIA, the Palestinian cause is not a cause for Palestinians only, but a cause for every revolutionary. We see all our struggles coalesce in Palestine. As Palestinians remain steadfast in the face of apartheid, occupation, and ethnic cleansing, we too must remain grounded in our humanity, which drives us to fight until all Palestinians can return to their lands, their homes, their olive groves and seas. Until all Palestinian political prisoners are freed, until black liberation and indigenous sovereignty for the masses around the world. For life and liberation, we must not stop and we must not rest. And right now we're going to do a few chants, which is Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Pueblo unido, ahora será vencido! Ang bayan ngayon! Dispose, divest! We will not stop, we will not rest! Dispose, divest! We will not stop, we will not rest! Thank you, y'all.
Alright, I'm gonna do a few chants in Arabic. I'm gonna say it nice and slow. You all getting hyped up? Beirut, Beirut, Natiga Palestine! Beirut, Natiga Palestine! Beirut, Beirut, Natiga Lebanon! Beirut, Natiga Lebanon! Ali, 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 Ali! علي 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 على الثروة علي من الميان للميان فلسطين عربية من الميان للميان فلسطين عربية Thank you.
to Scale and Students for Justice in Palestine from USC for reminding us of the importance of international solidarity, especially these students who have been so brave across this country and who have faced disgusting repression for daring to stand up against genocide and stand up for people's rights to life, to livelihood, to sovereignty, and reminding us of the importance of our call to defend people's struggles, whether it's here in the universities, whether it's in the neighborhoods where people are organizing, tenants who are facing evictions, or whether it's in Gaza, or whether it's in the Philippines. We have to come together to defend people's struggles. So our next speaker that we are going to introduce is from Bayan, which is an alliance, a patriotic alliance of national democratic mass organizations and progressive Filipinos who are fighting for genuine national democracy in the Philippines. So please welcome Min.
Hi everyone, my name is Min, and as our MC mentioned, I am with Bayan. I am the current Education Officer of Bayan USA and also the Southern California Regional Coordinator. But I'm going to start this speech a little different. I'm going to start off with a story about myself. As many of you may know me as Bayan. Sometimes there's a joke that all Min does is Bayan. But really, I wasn't always like this. I was not born a revolutionary, but it took a while for me to even say that I can go to a protest. It was only about 2 or 3 years ago that I went to my first protest. And that was because I was, and I still am, a migrant. A Filipino migrant, of course, but also because I also saw what happened during the first Trump presidency. I was a senior in high school when Trump was winning, and I didn't know so much about the US election system. I didn't know about what I could do. All I knew was I couldn't vote. So what could I do? And what changes can I make for my family, for my community? And it was hard because every time you watch the TV, all they say is go vote. Or sometimes people walk up to you with little boards and they ask you if you registered to vote. And every time I'm like, no, I can't. So what is the solution for people like me? It took a while for me to find it until I found the National Democratic Movement. Because I realized the change that I was trying to make could not be achieved through the US electoral system. And it actually also had to be rooted in the Philippines. And I share this anecdote because there are so many people, like others before me have shared, who are afraid, anxious right now. I'm afraid, I'm anxious, but I stand here before all of you today because at the same time that I am fearful, I know that I feel safe with you all because I know that you are all here to defend your communities, to defend your people, to defend your homelands. And that is why we're here today. We know that a Trump Marcos regime, that sounds so scary. And that's also how the masses feel, right? But a Trump win will represent the worsening crisis in the US and really an urgent need to change the system. More and more people are asking, what else can we do? What else can we do besides vote? And really, Trump, as others have also mentioned, harps on anti-immigrant and racist rhetoric, policies, words that the Filipino community and Filipino migrants really also hear. Not just from Trump himself, but even people who are disillusioned by him. And really, straight out of the fascist playbook, he capitalized on the people's fear, especially the working class, in a period of economic crisis and uncertainty. A Trump win will not mean an end to US wars and conflicts overseas like he said last night. Filipinos must be wary to the fact that the unequal agreements with the US will likely remain, and our country will remain subservient to the U.S. hegemony and the interests of the U.S. And more provocations, even from the year alone, are happening, and we know that Trump will also do that. Right now, the U.S. is really trying to start making moves against China, and the Philippines is right there. My people, my homeland, and even people you know who are Filipino will be affected by that. Such a rapidly fascistic U.S. president like Trump colluding with the Marcos dynasty will only further the neglect and plunder of the Filipino people, especially the toiling workers and peasants. Bongbong Marcos has already congratulated Trump in attempts to curry his favor. More and more Filipinos like myself will be forced to migrate out of our homeland, face houselessness, wage theft, lack of healthcare, state-funded repression and violence. We must understand that ultimately, a Trump presidency is a result of the failures of the electoral system and the U.S. state as a whole, as a fraudulent machinery of the ultra-rich that targets and disillusions the working class and touts false promises amidst their suffering and death. For Filipino migrants like me and my people here and back home who can't have a voice in the U.S. elections, we find the alternative solutions in uniting and organizing our compatriots despite the imperialist and ruling class attempting to destroy our lands and our lives. Before and after the U.S. elections, there has always been people's resistance. The Filipino people knew this well after successfully uniting and defending Philippine sovereignty against Spain, against Japan, and against the U.S. And we will do this until the Filipino people are free to return home and prosper. The only way forward for the people, or for the Filipino people of the world, the people of the world, I have to say Filipino a lot, greatly affected by the U.S. policies is to struggle against imperialism and fascism. A deeper kind of change is needed. One that goes beyond the confines of an electoral system that is already skewed in favor of the wealthy and powerful. As Filipinos living inside the most powerful imperialist country in the world, we carry a huge responsibility. The result of these elections will affect more than 4 million Filipinos in the US, but also countless people in countries around the world under the boots of US imperialism, like Korea, like Palestine. And even here, US out of everywhere. Oh my God, US out of US. And we have a duty to be vigilant and to unite with other migrant and oppressed communities. We must organize and fight for welfare instead of warfare, and for the people's rights instead of repression and genocide, especially under a Trump puppeted Marcos. So join or build an organization with your people. Let's continue educating each other and other people. Let's organize more and more new faces and mobilize more and more to build the people's movement and resistance. At para sa aking mga kababayan, sumali sa Nakbayan, Migrante at Gabriela! Join the Nakbayan, Migrante and Gabriela and take up the fight for national democracy in the Philippines! That means dare to struggle, do not be afraid. And that is here, or that is who I am today in front of you all. And you all, dare to struggle, and be not afraid. Thank you.
welcoming Viva from the International Migrants Alliance, a global alliance of organizations of grassroots migrants, refugees, and displaced people. Welcome to the stage, Viva!
I asked someone if it was bad if I asked all of us to say "fuck Trump" right now. That's all right. You know okay, 3, 2, 1. That's a speech. I'm kidding. But hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Viva. I am a member of the International Migrants Alliance Country Coordinating Committee, so organizing for the rights and welfare of migrants here in Southern California, but all across the US and all the way even back to our homelands. I want to start my speech tonight, didn't want to start it with saying fuck Donald Trump, but I actually wanted to start it with us having a moment of silence. From 2016, from decades before, throughout those years, this moment of silence is dedicated to all those who are detained, to all those who died trying to cross the border, to all those who were killed by the police here in Los Angeles. I want to give a moment of silence for all millions and millions of migrants who woke up in fear and anxiety this morning. Before going to this action, I went to Home Depot to buy some lights and, buy some stuff for the action. And I couldn't help thinking, with every person I passed by, did they have to talk to their families about the situation today? Did they cry in the morning? Were they scared to go outside? They probably were. And this is a situation that both the Republican and Democratic Party has put our people under. I think about all of the younger organizers who said, I was in high school when Trump was first elected in 2016. But then I think about the little kids of migrant families with parents who are undocumented, who may be undocumented themselves, who were born after that time. What do you think their parents can say to them? I'm almost at a loss for words because I don't think I can single-handedly express all of the fear, all of the anxiety, all of the worries, all of the baggages, all of the migrants in the US face today. Do you guys know how long it took Trump to start scapegoating migrants after he said his speech yesterday? He said, oh, we have a broken, I'm not as good as impersonations, but he said that we have a country that needs to heal. And then the sentence after that, he said, we're gonna fix our borders. 60 seconds! Not 1 minute did he take into being the president! Not 1 minute before he started attacking migrants again! If that's what our experience is 1 minute into this presidency, imagine the fight we have to wage in the next 4 years! I was anxious all day yesterday. I was like sleeping with my shoulders up to my ears. I was restless. Everyone I ran into, I asked them, how are you feeling? Just so I can also share that I was scared and that I was anxious. And what other comrades and other speakers here have said today, we are at 370, almost 400 here today, but there are millions. There are thousands of migrants from our neighborhoods who couldn't feel like they can come out to something like this tonight, who don't don't feel safe even going to the store, who wouldn't feel safe going to work because of their status. Not just because of their status, because of this president, because of the policies of this country. Donald Trump and the far-right wingers, the conservatives and the Republican, they preyed on the desperation and the despair of the everyday American people. Because what did he talk about throughout his whole campaign? He was saying, I'm gonna lower the prices of goods. I'm gonna end the war. There was no war under my presidency. Those are the things that everyday people were concerned about, and they took advantage of that. Their promises to heal this country, they're not promises to us. Those promises are for big businesses who supported his whole campaign. They're scapegoating migrants. They're blaming the failing economy here in the U.S. on the very existence of migrants in this country. But do people even know what these refugees and migrants and asylum seekers face every day the moment they cross that border? Here in Los Angeles, buses of migrants they take buses of migrants from the border to here, from here to Chicago, to Washington, to all of these different cities across the U.S. And they're being blamed. These migrants, these refugees, these asylum seekers are being blamed for taking all the resources of this country that should be going to the hardworking people of America. I don't doubt that the American people are hardworking. I'm sure they are. It's not enough, right? It's not enough to just work hard. But when these refugees are taken on these buses and dropped off to a city where they don't know anyone, they don't have anything but the clothes on their back, their children in tow, you know what conditions they face? They have to sleep in tents in freezing weather on the muddy floor. They have to sleep in rat-infested gyms. With no health care, with no one there to help them translate what they're saying, because they're speaking other languages, right? They're coming from all these different countries. So they can't even communicate what's going on to them, to the very people who are shipping them to these random cities that they don't know. You know how heartbreaking it must be. There are people here who have been waging the campaign to free Ligaya, to wage campaigns to close the number of detention centers here in Southern California. These migrants have developed lumps and lesions, and their teeth are rotting, and their hair are falling out of their heads because of the malnutrition, because of the poisonous chemicals that they use to clean these detention centers. And they're the ones to blame. But the thing is, at every turn, these migrants, they don't give up because everything is at stake for them. Everything is at stake for us. They came here because they were fleeing from our deep poverty, right? They were fleeing from poverty that an unstable economy brought, politically unstable, violent countries that the U.S. meddled in. They're fleeing those things, hoping for a better life, and they're still met with these conditions. So when we say, we're gonna heal this country, I think that's been one of the favorite quotes tonight. We're gonna heal this country. The illness don't lie in the migrant population here. Those shortcomings don't come from us. If anything, migrants contribute so much to this country, to the culture, to the community, to the economy, to everything. But we have 4 years and beyond of fighting against these far-right fascists. And And the next time we're here, we need people. We have a big task at hand. It's so massive, y'all. There's 370 people here. How many migrants are in Southern California? Who knows the statistics? A lot. A lot. And a lot of these people are scared, or a lot of these people are misinformed. A lot of these people are like led astray by their own desperation for change. The everyday American people were hungry for change because it just kept getting worse, and it just kept getting worse. And then they started bombing people in Palestine, and it kept getting worse. And people wanted change. But we can't let Project 2025, we can't let whatever change they're putting on the table be the only change that people think is possible. Because genuine change comes from our communities. Genuine change comes from even the smallest form of action, of courage that people can take to stand up for themselves. Each and every day. We have to go out to our communities. We have to talk to those people in the drive-thrus. We have to talk to our neighbors who are walking the dogs. We have to talk to our moms, even if it's hard to talk about politics with our families, especially if they're migrants, right? They're trying to make it in this country. And we have to be patient. And we have to, with every fiber of our existence, let people know that it is there, it is for their interests, it is for their jobs, it is for their health, it is for their homes and housing, it is for people's lives that we're doing this for. We're not doing this just to be loud, or just to be edgy, or just to be counterculture. We're fighting for lives. And again, right now, the lives and the very existence of migrants are under attack. Again. So we have to be diligent in giving our communities the tools to self-organize. We have to be diligent in listening. We have to be diligent in figuring out what is the step. If there's no step, then we're just not asking, we're not thinking the right one. There's always a next step. There's always something that people would be willing to change. We just have to break it down and figure out what that is. And that's the type of patience we need to have, because we have to organize the migrant community here in Southern California. We have the border right there. We have detention centers here. We have so many pockets of communities and neighborhoods here that are filled and filled with migrant communities and undocumented families. We have homeless encampments with migrants here. We have to organize migrants, y'all. We have to organize refugees. And with that, we have to be so, in the words in Tagalog, kailangan nating maging mapagkumbaba, right? We have to be humble. We have to approach the work with humility. We have to approach the work with the fact that some people may have supported Trump, but they're still very, affected by this and actually getting hit the worst by these things, right? And we have to build our people's movement. But our fight don't just stop here in Southern California. It doesn't just stop here in Los Angeles. These migrants are running away from problems back home. People are running away from poverty. People are running away from unemployment. People are running away from gangs. People are running away from their own government's fascist militaries, repression. So we also have to help people realize that the solution won't just happen in America. The solution also needs to happen in people's home countries. People need to wage their own national liberation movements and win them. People need to get the U.S. out of their country so that they can build an economy, they can build a society that actually serves their interests, so they're not forced to move overseas, to be separated from their families, to die at the border, to rot in detention centers, and to be scared in these very streets. And you don't have to be a migrant to organize the migrant community. You don't have to be a refugee to organize the refugee community. We have to be in solidarity now more than ever. I forgot how it's gonna end. I think I'm over time. But with the International Migrants Alliance, what we've been doing in build up to this election, because we knew that Harris wasn't gonna be defending us, we knew that Trump wasn't gonna do it. They've been bagging on migrants from day one. We've collected the different issues of migrants across the country, and we've synthesized it into 4 main points. What do migrants want in this country? They want livelihood. They want the rights to livelihood, housing, and health. Migrants want legalization so that they can stop feeling anxious in this country and actually have protection when they work and not have to work under the table jobs where they're exploited, where their paychecks are constantly cut, or they have no one protecting them. Migrants want an end to the repression and the racism and the xenophobic rhetoric that's being slammed towards us every single day. And ultimately, what migrants in this country want is an end to forced migration. We want the conditions back home to be livable, to be genuinely free, genuinely democratic, so we don't have to move here. We don't have to face Trump. So in this period, I hope that if your organization is taking up campaigns supporting the rights and welfare of migrants, if your organization is organizing amongst migrants communities, join IMA, join the International Migrants Alliance so that we can share our lessons, we can share this lakas ng loob, or we can share this courage that comes just from an individual and spreads like wildfire among our community. So I'm gonna end with, I'm gonna say, rise up, rise up, rise up, and then you're gonna say, rise up, all migrants rise up. Yeah? Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, all migrants rise up. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, all migrants rise up. And rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, all migrants rise up. Thank you.
Thank you again to Viva of the International Migrants Alliance for sharing that very important speech. I wanted to also share with you context that I don't know if everyone here knew, but ICE, the ICE office, is actually in this building. And that is also like Viva mentioned, we do not have to be a migrant to organize migrant workers, to link with them, and to bring them into struggle, in their struggle, for jobs, for health, and for housing. And that's one of the reasons why the call to action that we have been reiterating the entire time, every speaker, is to join not only a people's organization, but to get involved in the people's struggle, to build their struggle. That's why we heard from organizations of migrant workers that are organizing each other to understand what the root of the problem is, why they're getting evicted, why they're struggling in their jobs, and to fight back against it together. So as we move on, to the last two components of our program, want to do a little chanting, and then we're going to introduce someone who's going to lead us through a cultural.
If you don't know this chant, I know folks are probably a little tired, but this chant needs a lot of energy. So when I say, what's stronger than a fascist, you say, the power of the masses. Got it? Because it's true. What's stronger than a fascist? The power of the masses. What's stronger than a fascist? The power of the masses. What's stronger than a fascist? The power of the masses. What's stronger than a fascist? The power of the masses. Y'all got it.
All right, so let's welcome up our our first performer who's going to lead us through a cultural.
Hi everyone, I'm Angie from San Fernando Valley. I'm reading a poem, it's not mine, okay, it's not my poem, but it's a poem that was written in 2021, which is still very relevant to the times right now, and it's by Darius Simpson. And the poem is titled, "The Most Important Ballot of Our Lifetime Again." Just one more election, just one more vote, just one more win, just one more seat, just one more century, just ignore the hunger pains. Just ignore the drone strikes. Just remember the towers. Just forget the chains. Just forget the prisons, the prisoners. Just look away from the tents. Just hold on. Just keep on drowning. Just hold your breath. Just collapse quietly while hoping for change. Just pass away without interrupting the debate live stream. Just wait till next year. Just give it time. Just give up your first and last born. Just give up what's left after rent. Just give up, just kidding, just believe, just not in revolution, just look at me, just keep marching, just forget the last decade. Thank you.
All right, we have our last speaker coming up, but before that, I would like folks to kind of come in and compress. I know folks are taking a bit of a, like standing breaks. It's okay to stay over there, but if folks can, yeah, don't be shy. I'll welcome our last speaker to the stage, Nusha, the Secretary General of ILPS US, the US Country Club, International League of People's Struggle, and Anti-Imperialist Alliance of Democratic Mass Organizations around the world. Welcome, Nusha!
All right, everybody, can you repeat after me? All power to the people! 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 Thank you. It's real cozy now. Thank you all for moving in close. I can't see everyone with these lights, but I'll probably end up making eye contact with one of you. All right, everyone knows the news. Donald Trump is once again declared the President of the United States. And I know from the discussion today that so many of us feel scared, or anxious, or outraged. We are worried about our own safety and the safety of our communities, and of our families, of our children and our siblings. As Viva mentioned, it was very understandable. In his speech yesterday, Trump reminded us of exactly what type of anti-people president he intends to be. He is the kind of president who will throw migrants and workers under the bus at the first chance that he gets. He is the type of president that will cozy up to billionaires like Elon Musk, who are making the working conditions of our families worse every single day. In his speech, Donald Trump said, thank you. Thank you. In his speech, Donald Trump said, "We are going to help our country heal. Our country needs help very badly." And as Viva mentioned, the very next line was, "We need to fix the borders." That's the kind of solutions Donald Trump and the Republicans need. That's the kind of solutions they offer when they speak of fixing things, when they speak of making things better and finding solutions. They mean solutions for the ruling class at our expense. Trump represents the most right-wing and fascist elements of the ruling class, and he plans to wield the full might of the state to make our daily lives worse and to drag us further and further into crisis. And I'm so sorry to say that the people, unfortunately, already have experience in what it feels like to face crisis. From housing being too expensive and poor quality, to our families and children not having access to quality education, to our communities being displaced and facing militarization as we are pushed from our homelands, only to face the same type of militarization when we come to the U.S. in search of a better life. We know what it's really like to feel the boot of this system on our necks, even when the Democrats hold power and refuse to address the people's real problems. But the people are not just experienced in facing challenge and crisis. The people are also experienced in how to wage struggle. Time and time again, when this country offers us false solutions and lies, when those in power continue not only to neglect our needs, but to make our conditions worse, we know that it is our own communities that bring the genuine solutions. The people know how to fight. Just today we heard the range of issues. We heard about all of the things we are facing on the daily, but we also heard about the struggles being waged every day. We heard about fights for better housing, fights for job security, fights against genocide and war, fights against the plunder and occupation of our homelands, from Palestine to the Philippines to Korea to here in Los Angeles. We know that every single day the people are in motion, the people are in struggle against our common enemy. And we know that the people did not just wake up today and start fighting. They have been fighting every single day of their lives, and they will continue to fight until we win. I want to take a pause real quick to share an anecdote. For those who don't know, my family is from Iran, a country that is no stranger to US imperialism. When Iran dared to wage a revolution against the US-backed fascist monarch fighting for democracy, the US took no time to intervene, to stage a coup. The State Department of the US once said that it could not allow a backwards country like Iran dare stand up for itself. For decades since, my people have been facing war provocations by the US, feeling a crisis under the economic chokehold of this country. I've experienced firsthand since I was a child what that feels like. Whenever I go home, I see what the US means when it speaks of democracy. I've seen what it means when the US speaks of economic prosperity. What they mean is more democracy for the major corporations, more control. When they speak of economic prosperity, they mean prosperity for the ruling class to exploit our people and to plunder our land. And when I went back most recently, I was having a conversation with my aunt. She heard a little bit about what I'm up to here. And she told me, Sash, she goes, why are you always causing trouble? I mean, what if you get hurt? What if something bad happens? Isn't it easier to just keep moving on and try not to cause trouble? My grandfather stepped in real quick, and he pulls both of us aside. And he says, what else is there to do? He said, the people have no choice but to fight. How can you walk by and see someone suffering and not do something about it? How can you feel your people in pain and not do something about it? And my aunt replies, but aren't the people tired of fighting?
And he says, no. The people are not tired of fighting. Fighting is a necessity. The people are tired of suffering, and so all they have left is to fight. And so I know that things feel scary, but I can 100% guarantee that despite the fear that we may feel in the moment, the ruling class is 1,000% more scared right now. And they should be. They are scared because the system that they prop up for their own benefit is crumbling, and the people are not content to sit idly by. Because we know that we deserve so much more than this system can offer us. And so I want everyone to bring back to your organizations, your communities, your schools, and your workplace. The question I want you to bring back is, what are you willing to fight for? And what are you ready to win? We need to build a truly massive mass movement. We need to continue to organize and to fight every single day so that our people no longer have to feel tired of suffering, because they will be free. And so I want to reiterate the starting chant, but I want to say it with your full breath. I want you to say it with the full might of everyone here, and I want you to say it with the might of every single person that you will bring into this movement. So repeat after me: all power to the people! All power to the people! All power to the people! Thank you, everybody.
We'll be rounding out the program here with a closeout. But before we do that, let's get the energy up one more time. Surprise Energizer. Channel all your fear, anxiety, disappointment, frustration, outrage, and your will to fight. I want you all to yell on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3! That's right, y'all. And so our speakers have made it very clear today that the fight does not end here, nor is it just starting. We have been waging lively struggle and resistance all across Southern California, and so have we done across the world. So I want us all to remember this when we go home today. Remember what we're fighting for.
When Donald Trump announced his victory in the election, he said that this is the greatest political movement of all time. Do you believe that? No! No. The greatest political movements of all time come from our people. The people in Gaza who are not only fighting for their lives on the ground, but who have built a global movement to isolate Israel and the U.S. for their war crimes. It's the movement of the brave Filipino people who ousted a fascist military dictator and are currently in the process of doing it again. It's the people who you heard from tonight, from the different organizations and the mass struggles, many of whom are migrants And despite the attacks and the threats by Trump and the Republican Party, are still deciding to stand up and be brave and fight. So our call tonight is not just to leave here with photos or memories, but to join an organization, a pro-people mass organization, and not only join one, but to engage in the issues and the struggles of our people. So if you are not in an organization and you want to be, or you're interested in learning, we also want to invite people to go to the Plaza Park, which is on Olvera Street, next to Placito Olvera and Union Station. If you need to go, however, if you got a flyer, you can also send a message to the email account, or click on or type in the link there. You can get connected to a mass organization and figure out how you can get involved with the issues and the struggles of our people here locally. So with that said, would like to invite up Mish from the security team, who will just give us some how to disperse safety.
Thank you so much. My name is Mish from Audubon, LA. Let us remember that our fight does not end with today's rally. Let's ensure that we're able to get home safe so we can continue the work of organizing our community. We as part of the planning team want to encourage timely dispersal from this rally point. Please continue the conversation of how we can advance our movement, just not here. Let's disperse within the next 5 minutes. Thank you.
All right, let's get ready to take a photo, and maybe our chant leads can lead us in some chants as we close out.
Let's try something else.